Mic check, what's kicking, family? This is Mr. Batch of the BBC. That's right, I said BBC. You know what that stands for? Big Blue Commission. Why? This is my football only upload. Yes, football only. As you know, the owners' meetings were being held this last week in March down in, was it Florida? I think it was Florida or someplace like that. And a lot has gone on. So, without further ado, I had made sure I made a list, so I'm not here just rambling, trying to remember. I want to make this really smooth, like a 2-minute drill. So here we go. First, let me start with the world's game of football. Yo, with all these football pitches or soccer pitches that we have throughout the United States, we can't grow enough talent to make it, to have an Olympic team make the Olympics? I seen the blurb. These are 2 Olympics in a row. The USA has not fielded a team in the Olympics. What's wrong with this picture? Yo, you've seen how many of these soccer mom vans be rolling all up and down throughout your local neighborhood with kids just pouring out and they kicking the ball all over the place, and we can't get a team to represent the USA in the Olympics. That's enough about that football. Now let's get to American football. Alrighty then. First, let me start with, I had opened with the owners and what they were talking about. And there's a few things that they had been hashing about. And let me give you my spin on what I think about it. Oh, before I go any further, I'm standing at the north end of the Williamsbridge Oval in the Bronx. And yeah, I'm right up underneath the goalposts. Of course, this is football. This is about football. They also play soccer here also. They have multi-purpose fields here in New York City. Multi-purpose, which is a good thing. Okay, yes, I can get my kick on, if I ain't trying to run a dig route or a slant pattern. Hey, all right, Mr. Batch continues. Now, in the owners' meeting, they were talking about overtime. Now, my opinion of overtime, they have it in the playoffs, which is a good thing. And, you can't win the game by just kicking a field goal. And, something, that wouldn't be a bad idea in pro football. But there's a thing that you got to look into. The 1 o'clock game would all of a sudden start spilling over into the 4 o'clock game. What are they going to do? Are they going to stay with the 1 o'clock game and then, come back in? Is this going to turn into like Heidi? Well, the NFL has the Red Zone channel where you can, if something is happening inside the Red Zone, you can go right to it. So, for those who are going to be, if we're going to be watching the 1 o'clock game, and we have to go to the 4 o'clock game, I want to have that option to be able to, not unless I gotta buy, the NFL channel. And if that's the case, then so be it. So be it. Then I had to go that route. But I like the idea of settling the games, no ties. Even though ties would have worked, which means that the game would have went 60 minutes and that would have been end of story. But Mr. Batch's opinion on that is that I like the idea, regular season, have the overtime rules like how we have in the playoffs. Now, they was also talking about replay. Now, as far as replay goes, I want it to be like in Canada. That league is the best league when it comes to replay. The NHL has a central, like a control room, like how the United States has the National Security Agency where we monitoring everything. Sorry, I had to use a military analogy as far as, but you know what I'm talking about. They could do it at the stadiums anyway, because there are enough cameras to give the referee and umpire, not that he should make the call. I'm talking about stuff where it involves scoring. That's what I would like the replay to do. I mean, scoring throughout the in the entire game, or if there's a call and the referee will get a call in his Bluetooth from the guy in the replay booth saying, boom, this call is this, and make it real quick instead of eating up anywhere from 2 to 6 minutes with the referee up underneath the hood. All right, moving right along. Now, Tim Tebow, dude is smooth. You seen him at the press conference, but then again, what was pointed out to me at the press conference, I was listening to ESPN New York, Michael Kay and Don LaGreca, and they said, yo, he just rolled up there by himself and started talking. When in all actuality, one of the Jet executives had introduced him 4 minutes prior to him walking up to the podium. But I can understand what they were saying. Excuse me, y'all. I can understand what they were talking about, where there was no owner, no general manager, no head coach to introduce this kid, hold up the uniform and jersey. Right? What did they say? They said Jason Campbell. What team is he on? But they had mentioned Jason Campbell had a press conference, and he's a backup. David Carr re-signed with the Giants. And he had a little blur, but it was nothing to the extent that Tebow had. And they were blasting the Jet ownership for looking like clowns, because they just let the kid out there. All of a sudden, he comes out from behind. Did y'all seen the replay? Y'all seen it? He walks out from behind the curtain and goes up. Hi, I'm Tim Tebow, the newest Jet. Glad to be here. Now I'm taking questions. And that lasted for 35 minutes. To me, that was cool, because the kid knew how to handle himself. He answered and diffused a lot of the questions. He was real smooth. Then the following day in the newspaper, I seen in the newspaper, they were, I'm telling you, the lights are brighter on Broadway. The Post had a breakdown of his attire, of how he came out dressed, and they were critiquing the tie, the suit, the shoes. Yo, this New York, baby. You seen how many people was there? They talk about over 50 cameras and over 300 people. This New York. The lights are brighter on Broadway. So with that being said, let's see what Tim Tebow is. Let's see how this all works out. A lot of people say, Batch, you crazy, man. This is football, this, that, and the other. Ray. Yo. How many times have you seen ball players come into the league and switch to another position? Hello. Then again, you've had ball players who played multiple positions besides the quarter. Cordell Stewart. Then you had my man Crash Jensen years ago, who used to play for the Miami Dolphins. He played everything: tight end, H-back, running back, fullback, quarterback. He even punted. Okay, and then you've already heard on ESPN how they've talked about two-headed quarterbacks, the Oakland Raiders, the Washington Redskins, the Dallas Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers. Hello, okay, controversy, quarterbacks, but the bottom line is, Mr. Batch is telling y'all this. In my opinion, I don't think he's the world's greatest quarterback. He's like third and fourth string. He doesn't have the accuracy, and he doesn't see the field as well. But the man wins. How can you explain that? The man wins. You know how they say in a lot of games, yo, we didn't have the smoothest of game, but we won ugly. That's what Tebow does. Tebow wins ugly. So, but what I'm looking for in this process for the Jets is that how they're going to utilize Tim Tebow, where they're going to put him. They're talking about a fractured locker room. I want to see how that comes together. How about how, all this stuff got splintered all over the place. But then again, you had teams that didn't like each other, and they still came out on the field and performed. So the media putting out this stuff and ex-ball players talking about it should have been kept in the locker room. It can't, because you damn well got Twitter, YouTube, MySpace, Facebook, you name it. The dude could be sitting in his locker, man. He's on his damn smartphone. Man, I didn't like that play in the third quarter. Years ago, you wouldn't hear about that until a certain player was interviewed like a Tuesday or a Thursday, either a couple of days after that game or a couple of days leading up to the next game. Now, it's at the speed of hitting the enter button. Think about it. That's the age that we live in. So, come on, you gotta think. You gotta think before you speak now. Now, if you're just gonna come out the side of your neck and start squawking, they're gonna step all over you. So when it comes to ball players, these athletes, my thing is they should think before they tweet. And the commissioners of certain leagues can put the kibosh on that. They could either put, no tweeting 30 minutes before the game, no tweeting 30 minutes after the game. Leave it at that. Okay? All right. Mr. Batch continues. Now, there's also another thing going on. I think it was at the owners' meeting. Should have included that with what else I was also saying, was that logos on the uniforms. Let me say this. This is pro football. I love the way my football is. I do not want it to look like a soccer uniform. Hello, you seen it? Come on now. Vodafone, Adidas, something here, something there. No, I don't want my football uniform to look like that. And if they do, if it does ever get to a point like that, hopefully they'll do it smart and do it in patches, chest, arm. Not all over the damn uniform like in soccer. Chest, arm. If you want to go the logo route. That's my opinion. And then I heard that the person pushing for the logos on game uniforms, because they're already on the practice uniforms. You guys already seen it. Doesn't bother me. It's the practice uniform. You're going out here running up and down. But for the game uniforms, I hear the person pushing for that is Jerry Jones. Damn! You ain't got enough money, Jerry? You trying to jerk you the man. Jerry Jones is the man that pull out of the licensing agreement that the NFL had some years ago. I gotta look that up because I'm just not remembering. Jerry Jones was one of the owners that pulled out of a certain licensing agreement which affected the entire league, and they had to scrap it and restructure it. Because Jerry wants to keep the money for himself. Money grab by Jerry Jones. Put the logos on. Man, I ain't trying to see no logos. But if it happens, it happens. All right. Mr. Batch continues. Now, also down there with this owners meeting, you had Peyton and the GM for the Saints go down, talk to the owners meeting. They better grovel, they better beg, they better, say I'm sorry and explain it because you're dead wrong. They're talking about Sean Payton might want to appeal. The NFL told you a couple of years ago, if you're doing it, stop. Yeah, we stop. You told the owner, if you're doing it, no, we're not doing it. And then you went right ahead and then you got busted. So what? You got busted going back to the bank and robbing it again. So guess what? Do the time. Do the time. You got busted robbing the bank the second time. Do the time. Plain and simple. Now, when it comes out, man, it's great to be a Giant fan because such a fabulous, outstanding organization, which is truly businesslike, but also is like a caretaker of the game. They have so much respect for the game. As you can see, it permeates throughout, Giant land. and those who have been Giants before. You're going to say Sean Payton used to be a Giant. But how much of a Giant was Sean Payton? Yes, he was down. Then Jim Fassel took the play calling away from him. And then next thing you know, the Giants took off and went to that dreadful Super Bowl. I don't even want to remember that one. And then he went out and carved a name for himself. And what happened? He got into trouble and called his former coach, which is also a mentor, the Tuna. Now, I would love for the Tuna to step in and help out Sean Payton, who he knows, and help out the Saints franchise so that it can be all right and coming into the future. But there's one sticking thing. They said the clock will restart for the Tuna if he takes the job, which I think is quite unfair because there are some people who just flat out don't like the man. That's why he hasn't made it into the Hall of Fame. To me, Coach Parcells is a Hall of Fame coach. And like Chris Mortensen had pointed out that, hey, it's 10 months, everything is all set up, he ain't got to do no scouting or nothing. He just steps right in. But I give you this. If I was Bill Parcells and I'm hemming and hawing and I'm wondering if I take it, the next thing you know, I got another 5 years, if I'm going into the Hall of Fame, come on, can I be alive and check it out? But the only way I would take that job is if they had Drew Brees. Because right now, Drew Brees is undecided in coming and playing for him. Ain't no way in hell I'm going to take over a team and Drew Brees ain't there. Sorry. Drew Brees ain't there. Pay the man the money. If not, if they don't have Drew Brees in there, the Saints look like how the Indianapolis Colts did without the other Peyton Manning. I'm just about over this cold. Y'all. Damn changing weather caught me. Damn, had to break out the cold weather gear all over again. Don't jump the gun, y'all. Stay healthy, stay well. All right? All right. That takes that. That takes care of that. And, before I leave, the reason I said this was a football-only type upload was the G-Men opened the season against the Cowboys at home. And all I got to say about that, I believe we've won the last 3 games against them in a row. I'll be left a comment, of course. Let me add something on top of that. While I was listening to the radio, they was going. Michael Kay and Donald Greco was going over the games, and they were saying, "Oh, how could they do that? Hey, you just wiped out the rivalry, and the first game of the season always does a crazy rating." And when they said that the Giants was going to be playing the Cowboys, I said, "Oh man, let the rhetoric begin." All right. Let the trash talk begin. So, let me delve into a little bit of what they were saying. What they were talking about was the matchups, and television matches. What they said would have been sexy would have been like the Giants versus the Steelers, but they said that would have been a CBS game. Then they would have said, what about the Giants versus the Packers? That's a Fox game. Now, Giants-Cowboys can be put anywhere, because they'll see each other on Fox anyway. I said, very interesting. Very interesting how they broke that down, because, television viewers, you'll still get a lot of hype behind it, etc., etc. And on that note, this is Mr. Batch. The G-Men take on the Cowpokes at home on a Wednesday night to start the season. And I'm out of here like I stole something. Peace.